Hello Internet, 5090 here from GigaChad. This time it's Aorus, whatever that means. This one came from an RMA. And as you can already guess, even the RMA technicians are unable to disconnect these stupid Gigabyte connectors without breaking the housing for the connector. So yeah, great job Gigabyte. Looks like they need to go back about 20 or 40 maybe. Yeah, I think about 20, 30 years back and learn how the connector design work. So I don't want to power this right now because the RMA denied the repair because of, according to the notes, liquid damage, liquid metal. So there's liquid damage and there's liquid metal. So it's a combination of two, and we're gonna need to find out what's going on and whether or not we can fix this. Now, problem number one I have to fight with is this stupid sticker that the Gigabyte decided to place here in order to ruin the plastic that's sitting underneath it, because the only way to remove this sticker is with heat. And so if I heat this, it could damage the plastic underneath it. And since the bottom plate here is partially plastic, I believe, at least this area here, we could end up getting this bottom plate damaged. I don't know. I'm gonna try to be as careful as I can, and it looks like we managed just barely. And we're left with all this glue and stuff. So, basically what I'm trying to say is, if you have liquid damage your card, or you applied liquid metal and it went places you didn't want it to go, or you have any kind of physical damage on your card, scratch or a dent, something like on the PCI Express that they could see, or a crack, or something burnt. Well, when something is burnt, that's one thing. They probably gonna accept the RMA, but when there's the obvious physical damage, liquid, corrosion, things like that, don't even send it to Gigabyte. They're not gonna do anything about it. They're going to send it back to you, point out the obvious with the stickers of love, which I'll show you in just a minute, and you're just gonna waste your time. Instead, send it over to a qualified specialist, someone who does this for a living, someone who knows what they're doing. There are plenty of people out there on the internet that can help you with that. I am just happen to be one of them, and unfortunately, I am often mixed up with the Northridge Fix. I am not Northridge Fix, if anybody cares. I don't even know where he lives or what his name is. So let's take this thing apart, see what's inside, and hopefully we can fix this 5090 with no reball. That would be interesting. So far, I think I only had maybe one 5090 that needed a repair and was repaired without the reball, but I don't know if we're gonna get this lucky today or not. A lot of connectors in here. There we go, atrocity from Gigabyte. And okay, so it looks like some arrows of death in here. Let's I'm gonna go clean this up, remove the board, because we also have this backboard that we need to remove, and I'm still struggling to see any sign of a liquid metal, though I believe this card came with liquid metal from factory. I don't know 100%. And the reason why I think that is because of the core. Is there anything else that's holding it down? One more screw. Because the capacitors around the core, they are protected with a layer of some kind of epoxy. Okay, so what is it that I'm seeing here? I'm seeing some kind of residue in here. It looks like flux. It could be silicone, but it looks like flux. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's flux, yeah, because it's a little bit thick. I don't know what that flux is doing here, but I see no corrosion whatsoever. I don't know if any of this is originally soldered or not. All I know is I see flux. Some in here and there. That could be factory, but there shouldn't be flux in here is all I'm trying to say. I'm not sure. So what they were trying to point out with these arrows, I have no idea. I don't see no corrosion, but I'm not sure if it's flux or whatever this is. It looks like it might be flux, but I see no corrosion whatsoever. There's nothing on the back of the board. I've already checked. So other than that, I'm not exactly sure. What about the liquid metal that was mentioned? I am not so sure. I don't see any liquid metal anywhere, but what I am seeing is I see flux flooded under the memory chip. See here between the balls, there's something in between them balls. It's more obvious under the core, like you see all that dirt in there, and I'm really hoping that this isn't one of them reflow attempts from certain tech channels. It's a little bit difficult to see on this end. It looks like there might have been some kind of liquid metal spot there. I don't know if you can see this. There's a little tiny, let me point at it so that you can register this with your eyeballs. There's one little tiny speck right there. That could be liquid metal, but I will not be able to see if it is. Looks like there's more in here. Yeah, looks like liquid metal to me. Okay, but I can't see if it made its way under there or not. It doesn't seem like it, but I don't know. I don't see anything going under the memory chips, at the very least on an angle that I have access to. So I don't know. I don't know where all that flux came from, and I don't really care. So let's do some math and start taking measurements of resistances, such as the memory. The memory reads 6 ohms, okay. What else? No short on 12. This one here is LEDs. This one here is probably PEC. This one here is probably 1.8 or 1.2. Either or. Here, nothing here. 5 and nothing here. This is probably 1.8. Alright, I finally saw what I wanted to see. This is a repair attempt card. So we have missing solder from these pads. Missing solder here. This capacitor isn't soldered all the way and shifted. So, and that explains everything pretty much. Missing solder pads here. So I don't know if we're going to be missing a resistor here or anything in here. We're going to have to look at that. And the bottom line is this is RMA reject for a reason of prior repair attempt. Most likely some kind of a reflow enthusiast. Alright, so the cord is now cleaned. I had to bathe this thing a little bit longer than usual with all that flux in there. Regardless, I don't think we're missing anything around the memory chips here. Just one resistor there that may not be soldered all the way. As a matter of fact, we can probably take a closer look at it now that everything is cleaned. And there, kind of hard to say. I think it's soldered, but it is a little bit offset. We'll see. If it complains about this memory channel, then we're going to have to try it. And as you can see here, we were actually blowing liquid metal from under the chip. Hopefully you can spot that right there. So, and then some marks of that on the surface of the board. So at this point, I am done diagnosing this as far as I wanted to. So I'm just gonna go straight. I'm not even going to power this, because who knows, once it gets powered, depends on what's shorted. Voltages could go weird place, you know, and potentially causing all sorts of issues. So the update is that it turns out that the card was in some kind of repair shop, and the customer knew that I exist, but he ended up sending it over to a different shop thinking that he would save money. So let's say this card is dead. Okay, so let's pretend that this card is not repairable and it's completely dead. Core is shorted, you know, all that good stuff. He took it to a shop. They charged him $200 for basically making it worse because they did a reflow. If he were to send it to me without the, you know, without expediting, express, rush fee, whatever you want to call this, and if it was dead, or I would conclude it dead, it would be $50. So kind of makes your head scratch a little bit. Taking your GPU to some shop that probably does TVs and radios, and all of a sudden they want to do GPU repairs, laptop repairs, or what have you, and then they charge you $200 for not fixing it. Me, who's done this for years, I do nothing but this like 99.9% of the time. I'm really good at it. Very, very rarely, maybe 1 in 1,000, I would misdiagnose the dead core. As a matter of fact, I did about a year ago. It was a 4070 Ti from Asus, I believe. And I just recently got to it because I needed a donor board, and I discovered that I misdiagnosed the dead core because the driver MOSFET was short. That was just the stupidest mistake ever. But regardless, the card was donated, and I ended up fixing it just by replacing a driver MOSFET. And I contacted the customer a year later, and I said, hey, your card works. Pay the rest of the repair price. Take it back. Give me a return label. I'm not sure if he was happy with that, but he was definitely surprised. So, regardless, if this wasn't repairable, with me, someone who does nothing but this, knows these things really well, it would be $50. But no, some repair shop out there doing things like air conditioners, refrigerators, and washing machines, and then AM/FM radio. Some of you probably don't even know what that is. Not old enough. And charging him 4 times the amount that I would. How does that make any sense? I don't know. Now, just because there are people like that out there, I'm not going to raise my no repair cost. At least not now. So maybe at some point when I get sick and tired of this, I will. But everything's going great so far, so no complaints whatsoever. I try to keep my prices as fair as possible, and so either way. So my plan now is as simple as lifting the core, assessing the situation. I'm guessing liquid metal around the edges of the core, as it normally is the case when it comes to spilled liquid metal. And hopefully that's it. And there is what we're dealing here with. A little bit of liquid metal, a little bit of here, some kind of dirt, corrosion. I don't know what this is. Attempts to get rid of it, I suppose. A little bit more liquid metal maybe, or just dirt. Hard to say. And I think, a lot more liquid metal here. And yeah, see how sticky this stuff is? Very difficult to get rid of. So that's probably all there is that we have to deal with. Hopefully nothing is under one of the memory chips. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why things are done a certain way. And just hoping that some kind of a ultrasonic bath or some kind of a magic liquid metal remover will do the trick. Is wasted time, not going to give you anything basically other than wasting your time. So taking it off, manually scraping it out of the way is the only way to go, and that's how we're going to do this now. Now what complicates the process now is that these Gigabyte cards, they come with thermal putty instead of thermal pad, and so they end up having that thermal putty leaking under the core, and it basically contaminates everything, and it's like fine sand is what it is. And what happens is your board becomes like a sandpaper, so you try to wick stuff off the board and you end up damaging it. So Gigabyte is definitely a 5090 to avoid. That's just one of many reasons. The main reason is obviously lack of fuses. Gigabyte does not believe in fuses. And why would they? Fuse will make your GPU last, but if you buy Gigabyte, you get no fuse. So special thanks to Black Horse Repair that makes the wicking, especially I'm not going to say easy, but his flux does provide sort of like a lubrication that no other flux does. At least not anywhere near as noticeable. So it makes cleaning process for such specific cases a lot less traumatizing for the surface of the board compared to other flux. So if anyone's interested, you can buy this stuff at I think it's blackhorserepairs.com. I think he's hosting with that name. He has eBay listing, but the eBay will rip you off, and it's best to just buy it directly. So, but do what you want. I cannot recommend this flux enough. It just works magic, and when I'm done wicking it, it will wipe off easier than anything else I've tried so far. So when I get something good, I will tell you that it's good, and I will continue telling you that it's good while it's good. And the day it's gonna turn into garbage, I'll be sure to tell you all about it. Such is the case with the mechanic wick. Do not buy mechanic wick anymore. It is no longer good. The mechanic learned how to scam you, because mechanic wick is China company. It's a Chinese based company. Everything about it is China, and they switched the product recently because they already have enough positive feedback so that when you buy it, you're thinking you're buying something good, but you're actually buying half of it for the exact same price. What is it that I'm talking about? I am talking about the solder wick from Mechanic. See how here it says layer single? This is garbage. So it's exact same model, exact same size and everything. But it says single layer instead of double layer, and I'll show you the difference. I have a couple of spools here to compare. And I have like 3 or 4 spools inside of this 3D printed spool. See there? So I'll show you the difference under microscope so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. So this is the, let me focus here. So the new and the old. So on the surface, it looks the same. They're both equally fine, but on the edge, you can see that one is twice as thin as the other. Hopefully you can pick this up. Yeah, you should be able to. See how thin this is? So yeah, these jerks from China figured out a way to make something cheaper, and that wouldn't be a problem if they were charging you accordingly. But they're not. That single layer wick cost exactly the same, if not even higher, than the old one. And the old one did not state double layer. It just was whatever it was. Whether it was 3 layers, 4 layers, it didn't say it. So, but now the new one says single layer. And I got so much of this garbage in my drawer, I don't even know what to do with it. Because if I use it, the second you put it on the board, it instantly becomes useless because it's so thin. Don't get me wrong, it works great for really small places. It works great, but for my type of work, and I would probably say generally anything, pretty much, it's gonna suck. It's going to absorb solder very quickly and become practically useless nearly instantaneous. So thank you, China. There we have it. It took about 1/3 of the spool, of this spool, because we got 1.5 meter, so this is about half a meter to wick just one core. Yep. Absolutely wasteful and not surprising. So that's what China does. I don't know if you guys have seen the recent D. Bauer video about him getting scammed by China shipping him steel plates coated with copper and aluminum, and then some steel plates or concrete blocks at the bottom of the crate so that it matches the weight. Oh boy. Yeah, that's what China is all about. Honor, integrity, trust. Nah, not in China. Maybe if they're Chinese and they're here in the US, most likely, but in China, no. Just like in the Soviet Union, the only way you're able to sustain your business and earn good income, either by exploiting laws, bribery and whatnot, or just lying better than the rest. And what makes this worse is that this wick isn't even particularly good anyway. So I'm gonna have to finish off this one little tiny pad that remained there. Yeah. Alright, so let's clean this up and put it back on the board, and hopefully everything goes well. Alright, the reball is complete. You noticed I had some struggles with solder balls failing to align or stick, and that's what liquid metal does. It messes up with the pads, but regardless. So we're gonna start slow. We're gonna start with maybe 3 amps, see what the card is doing, and then we'll increase it to see how it's holding the power. Okay, looks okay. We're dipping down voltage, obviously, because we need more amps, but we're not that short, so let's see. That looks a lot better. Alright, I think that passes the voltage test. Just want to see if I have, that's a 1.8, if I have PEX. It's a 1.2. PEX is right here. Hopefully it'll post. I don't see any other issues on the board. At the very least, nothing on the back. Who knows? I haven't really looked that closely. Will do. if necessary. So let's power this on and see if it posts. If not, given the fact how many of these chips had been reworked, I'm kind of starting to think that there's going to be problems under one of them. But I don't know. Hopefully not, because it's already 12:30 in the morning and I want to go to sleep. So let's... Alright, here goes nothing. And there we go. It's posting. Perfect. Hallelujah. All that worked just paid off. So I'm going to go ahead and put everything back together. Clean up whatever residue I have here from the thermal paste, from the flux. And run some tests. If everything goes well, give the customer good news. And tell him that he just wasted $200 by sending it to some shop that fixes microwaves in hopes that they would fix a $2,000 graphics or $3,000. I don't even know how much this thing costs. Gigabyte AORS probably on the expensive side of the GPUs, being the their top tier model or whatever. But it is what it is. Okay, looks like we have a problem. We are running in 4 instead of X16. Why that is, I have no idea. Might be problems with the riser. Could be liquid metal affecting contact pads under the core. Could be data lines dead inside the core as a result of a short circuit, and also as a result powering the GPU without removing the liquid metal from the core, from under the core in the first place, as you would imagine was done by both the technician who worked on this thing before as well as the owner, most likely. Let's see what we hear. It looks like we're getting some activity at the front of the board, it seems. Try a different slot. But maybe it was just maybe it's just a connectivity issues, some kind of oxidation. Who knows? Let's have a look. Switch over to a microscope. I think the problem is at the front, though. I don't... Okay, so it would be 5th pair. So let's see what we have. So this is our 1st, 2nd, a 3rd, a 4th, and a 5th. And there's a little bit of stuff on here, but I don't know. Maybe if we can just wipe down. I don't see any damage, so I don't think there's any damage. We can also look at the front of the board, at the back of the board, see if there's anything in there. Okay, so we're gonna be looking at around here. I don't see anything. Maybe there was something, maybe there wasn't. So I don't know. Let's try again. See if it's doing the exact same thing as before. Hopefully not. Okay, let's have a look. All right, that solves the problem. Hopefully this is all there was. Just a bad connection with the slots. Going back to the testing. All right, let's have a quick look. And there we go. 16. We can disregard the 5.0 versus 3.0 in here. That's just a limitation of the motherboard. What I want to see is I want to run this test and make sure that it passes. And if it does, then I will continue on running with the rest of the test. And that will be it for this repair. Goodbye.